Civil War.
Right.
Have you ever heard Chris say that?
Do we have to clap?
No. We have never had to clap. Probably since the beginning of this show. I'm going to go on record and say this. I've never used the clap sync.
What's the point?
I don't know. You guys just like doing it.
No, I don't like doing it.
Okay, then you don't have to do it anymore. Isn't that great?
If Chris and Joey come, they're going to be so pissed.
Okay, but they're still going to clap, and that's fine. Because guess what? In Premiere, you can literally just select. You can just select the freaking clips and just click synchronize. You don't even have to look for a clap sync. So,
yeah. Movies.
So how about that?
Movies were not made like that back in the day. They are now.
No, they actually were. There's Premiere Pro back in 1927 when they made Wings.
They're like, how do we sync the music track to the regular track?
Wings was the first Best Picture winner because it was edited on Premiere Pro. It's true. Hey, welcome back to Stacked, everybody. As you can notice, it's just me and Brandon today. Chris is getting his master's in film. That's why he hasn't been on the show these past couple weeks, because
he's busy with school.
Hasn't been able to come on the pod. Joey's out of town, so it's just the two of us today.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd talk about some movies because I feel like two really big blockbusters have come out since the last episode.
Surprising blockbusters, to be honest. Both of them.
Two surprise hits. I mean, I feel like they were both going to be successful, but not hits.
Relatively successful.
Okay. Well, let's get into it. So we're talking about two. I feel like these are the two movies that kick off our summer blockbuster season, even though it's April,
No, it's not.
I mean, one of them came out in April.
Oh, yeah.
Mid-April.
Yeah, it's true.
But I feel like, for me, we're talking about Sinners and Thunderbolts, asterisks. We've been reviewing those two films, but I really did feel like, even though Thunderbolts was like the first weekend of May movie, I felt like Sinners was really the movie that kicked off our summer blockbuster
absolutely.
season.
Water bucket.
Oh yeah, and Minecraft. We can talk about Minecraft in another episode. Go back to the last episode. I like calling it Minecraft. I don't like pronouncing the T in craft. Minecraft.
It's a Utah thing.
No, it's just a me thing.
Oh,
because I think Minecraft sounds funny.
Okay.
Minecraft.
First we mine, then we craft.
Then we craft. Minecraft. Yeah. We haven't been able to talk about Sinners yet. I've been really wanting to. So let's get into that first.
Yeah.
Unless, we'll see how this podcast goes. There's another topic that I want to talk about.
That's third.
That
I don't know about.
I'm sure you know about this.
I don't know about that.
It has to do with this orange guy.
Oh.
Should we talk about that? I feel like that's relative because they're two big blockbusters.
And I think...
And we'll see, Cookie, because this episode's...
Cookie?
No, this episode's coming out a week from when we record this. So we'll see if this...
pans out.
If this is still relevant. But today, our dear little president in his high chair, his little baby chair, picking up Oreos with his fingers and stuff, Donald Trump, he said he's going to put 100% tariff on all films made outside of the U.S.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
What the fuck does that mean?
How do you put a tariff on something that's in like a digital file?
It's intangible. Yeah. Does that mean like they're like putting a tariff on movies made out of the country on like the tax incentive? Like, what is that?
I don't know. Like, are they
gonna make it more expensive to shoot overseas? Is that what they're saying? Or
because how are they like importing it, right? Because they shoot the movie there, and they just come back to edit it, right?
Yeah.
And then they distribute it here.
Yeah. So
is it only going to be foreign films, like?
Or is it going to be on distribution?
How are they going to charge foreign films? Who knows? He just announced this morning, so that dates when we record this episode. But I thought that was insane.
I think it's just strange.
Yeah.
Like the constant tariffing or the upping of tariffs is like, and he's like going back on a few of them, but it's not clear what tariffs he's going back on. So it's unclear if like we're being affected at all. I mean, I think so. Prices have been going up a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, it's just super strange because it's like you can't shoot movies in America that look like they're shot in certain places. Like
Right.
like a forest, like
Dune
a
3 is
rainforest.
being shot in Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be crazy.
Like you've got one desert. It's like the UK has like 20 shooting locations for Doctor Who, and they've shot at those 20 shooting locations the same for 60 years. And at some point you start to realize it. And I don't want my Hollywood movies.
Think of every low-budget network show that's shot in Vancouver.
Or shot on the Warner Brothers lot or something, where it's like you recognize the sets and it looks fake.
Right.
Because you've just seen it so much. Like, audiences are going to be aware of that at some point.
But I'm just saying there's still so much shit that we watch today
Yeah.
that is not filmed in the U.S. at all.
Yeah, of course.
And, like...
That's American product.
Who gives a shit?
I don't give a shit.
Personally, if I were to ever extrapolate some sort of silver lining in this...
Yeah.
I would rather have this be a wake-up call for, local governments in the United States to sort of lower prices on filming permits. Because that's why...
That's the only bright side.
That's the only reason why a lot of these productions are... Like, there's a lot of productions just now taking their shoots outside of the U.S., just because it's cheaper, not because of the location itself.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many damn game shows that are now shot just in Ireland.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's
You're gonna
super
fly
weird.
people out to Ireland?
That is all cheaper than just shooting in a studio in LA.
Yeah.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
It is. I'll also like how dense California is as like total population density.
Right.
Not just population, but commercial density. There's not enough room. Not enough room for the people. Not enough room for the studios. So they're losing studio space, which is why it's at that premium price. So if local governments in LA and Hollywood were able to, I don't know, find a way to expand their studio space or at least, I mean, retrofit other areas into that studio space, or even use other cities or other states in the United States. Like Arizona used to give huge tax credits to shoot, and that's why a lot of the films in the 80s and 70s are actually shot in Arizona, not just westerns, but
really,
like Midnight Run, that Robert De Niro movie that was shot in my dad's hometown when he was growing up.
Mesa.
No, Williams.
That's my last name.
Yes.
I own a town in Arizona. Cool.
But like that used to be like commonplace, and I'm fine with this like being a wake-up call, like you say.
Yeah.
But like at what point do we look at this and say
there's just another way of going about it than whatever this fucking nonsense
it's just
is.
Militaristic?
Yeah.
You know? And there's no reason the film industry should be a part of the federal government's operations in the film industry, because that just leads to propaganda being made.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what it sounds like they
want to do.
Trying to get.
Yeah.
But whatever. I just wanted to bring that up because it's stupid news, and we talk about movie news and stuff like that. It's going to affect blockbusters.
It's heading in the right direction.
Maybe.
It's heading in the wrong direction. Hollywood's in a weird place right now.
It is
fluctuating between like the industry is never going to recover, and we've never been so back.
Literally our last 2 episodes of this show have been like, it's so over.
Like original movies are dead. And
now we got an original movie and a Marvel movie that's
kind of original.
It's kind of original, and can we say, I don't know what your thoughts on Thunderbolts is, because I don't know.
We'll see.
Can we say that they're both good? Yeah, they're both good.
Yeah,
and that's great, because we've been an original movie and a franchise film that's both good, and that you can enjoy equally in the theaters right now. So why don't we start talking about it?
Yeah, of course.
Let's talk about Sinners first, because that's the one that came out first, and that's the one I've been dying to talk about more.
That's the one I like the most.
Me too. This is the better of the two. So good.
I think it's a little overrated. Just like teensy tiny bit.
But I don't mind it.
No,
I don't mind
I'm not unhappy with its success.
I do think that the way that people are talking about this movie is a lot more positive than how I feel about it. I still really like the movie.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think it's like people are saying like, I don't even know if it's best of the decade.
Yeah, they're saying like, this is the best movie of the century. It's gonna get Best Picture, and you're like, no, I don't know about that.
If we're talking about best original blockbuster of the decade, Nope is still taking the #1 spot for me.
This is probably top 5, top 10
of original. Oh yeah, top 5 for original blockbusters.
Yeah.
probably top 3. I can't even like. Can you name 5 original? Okay.
Because you can't count Avatar.
Nope, can't count Avatar. Can't count
Mission Impossible.
Can't count Mission Impossible. Can't count Furiosa. Can't count
Mad Max or anything.
Can't count it. Yeah, Mad Max. Like
can't count a lot.
Can't count a lot.
So it's just those
so
two.
Those two. Hey, it's in the top 2. But
no,
I don't know. If was so good. No, it was awful. But yeah, people are saying it's one of like
the Fall Guys probably.
Yeah,
by lack of.
And honestly, we'll see how this film ages, because when I first watched Sinners, I thought it was great but didn't love it. But I saw it again at the Chinese theater.
70 millimeter.
It wasn't 70 mil. I saw it at the Vista in 70 mil.
Wow.
And then I saw the Chinese in IMAX.
Wow.
But it wasn't 70 mil.
Okay.
Which was a bummer. But I still got to see the crazy aspect ratio changes and stuff.
I did not.
It was cool. Crazy cool. But it just did make me, like, knowing what to expect, I feel like I got to appreciate Coogler's craft all the more.
Really?
Yeah, because, like, originally I didn't know what this film was going to be about going in, and I feel like when I watched it the first time, I was getting a little lost between what, like, it was trying to say about sort of music and history and appropriation and sort of, I don't know, like
there's a lot this movie
there's
tries
a
to
lot to
tackle.
unpack.
Yeah.
And like I feel like at the first time when I watched it, like I couldn't grasp it all, but when I knew the beats and everything,
yeah,
I was able to sink my teeth more into that stuff, and it's great. It's really great.
My movie changing, or my habits have changed since working at a theater.
Yeah.
And sort of being able to like go into movies and see just pieces here and there, because like I view movies not like trailers or anything, not like clips, but like I watch the movie and then I'm able to experience little pieces of the movie out of place throughout my shift.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting.
So what scenes did you watch from Sinners?
No, I've seen the whole movie.
I know, but when you were doing, like, what stood out to you when you were doing that?
Well, I would say there are certain things that you pick up on, like, you know, when you watch a movie multiple times and you're like, oh, I picked up on something new.
Yeah.
You kind of get that exaggerated sense for specific scenes, like the way they light things.
Yes.
Or the way they use certain film stocks, or the way they use like specific camera angle or something like that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily narrative things, because I'm not in there for too long, but specifically for like the technical aspects. And I think for technical movies like Sinners, which I think is a technical marvel.
Yes.
There is a lot to say, and that's a lot's being said with the visuals of it all. You know, I do think it's a bit wild. And not in like a negative sense, but it's a bit like all over the place, because it is trying to corral so many different ideas, so many different genres into one thing. Yeah. And whereas you have films like something, and it's not an apt comparison, but something like Parasite, which shifts genres pretty often, I'd say. Yeah. It feels like it focuses on each of those genres in like a specific portion of the film without derailing the overall narrative. Whereas I feel like with Sinners, it almost threatens the narrative a little bit.
Yeah, because it has to like remind you of what other kind of film it is.
Right, because like really the supernatural aspects of the movie aren't prevalent.
Few.
They're prevalent until like the last third.
I would say I'd say they start being prevalent like
an hour or two in. No, not an hour.
I mean,
and
I feel
in.
once Smoke like reunites with Annie. There's no sort of like
anything.
I mean, you see the vampire at the beginning, you know, but that's just that. But
yeah,
that's when you start to see sort of like this sort of, I don't know, mysticism over the sort of what this film is about.
Right.
Through Annie's character, who was a fantastic character, by the way. Like,
Loki.
Shout out to all the women in this film. Like, just all these well-rounded and like.
Well-made characters.
Well-made, well-rounded, and like they were all just so just as fleshed out.
Very unique too.
Yeah.
Because not the character that Sammy is courting is so different from Wumi Musaku's character.
Right.
Who is so different from Legion Lee, is I think her name? her character.
I think so.
Yeah. But like all three of their characters are so
Yeah.
different from each other, but so dynamic. Because
Yeah.
they're each saying something about how you react to a situation,
Yeah.
especially a situation such as
Every
this.
character is, and it felt so refreshing to see such a like.
Well fleshed out hour of cinema, exploring each of them in great detail.
Yeah.
Almost.
To me, it sort of felt like The Thing in that aspect, where it's like, okay, you have this select group of characters, you know, for a brief moment they're trapped inside this location, you know, and Coogler was able to spend enough time with each one of the people inside there that you're able to like, okay, I am invested in the stakes of all these guys, you know, and they're in this tough situation, and you understand where each and every one of them are coming from,
Right.
you know?
We talk about pacing in movies a lot, especially lately with blockbusters.
Yeah.
And I think both Thunderbolts and Sinners do a really great job at fleshing out their characters first before jumping into something.
Before the spectacle.
Character
Character before spectacle, because you can't have any investment in the spectacle if you're not invested in the people who are participating in it.
Right, exactly.
Right?
And so, like with Sinners, when you get to the barn, you know,
The juke joint.
after that first hour, you definitely get that time with them.
Yes.
And you feel the stakes, like you say. I will debate that I don't think we get enough time. I actually thought this movie was too short.
Really?
I thought this movie, much like The Brutalist, didn't spend enough time in second gear with this horror genre. I know what it's trying to say. I think it.
Wait, like The Brutalist?
No, not like like The Brutalist in terms of like
There was not enough horror in The Brutalist.
There needed more aesthetic horror.
When in Italy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, horrific.
Yeah. No, but both of these movies needed to be longer because I think, though fleshed out, I honestly didn't feel satisfied by where the character journeys went necessarily. And I think what would have helped with that is seeing more of that survivalist aspect, because in The Thing, you have 2 hours of basically spending time with characters. But in that 2 hours, the first hour is somewhat similar to this movie.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more time to spend in that horror with the characters, in that uncertainty about the situation.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like it's seemingly repetitive as the vampires keep coming to try and get them to convince them to say, "Hey, open the door, let us in."
Yeah.
You know?
Which I did like. I feel like
No, it's great. It's great.
I mean, I know there's the Let the Right One In, and what's the one, the Matt Reeves remake? Or is that the title of it? Anyway,
Let Me In or
something like that.
Yeah.
Those, I haven't seen those films, but it seems like those are a lot about like the sort of aspect of the vampire mythology about vampires can't come into your place unless you invite them in.
Right.
So I thought that was cool, that because everyone, there's like, I feel like there's a movie for every sort of aspect of a vampire that it focuses on.
Right.
And we haven't seen enough attention to this. And I think
I agree with that.
And how that plays into the dialogue of like sort of, you know, being invited into spaces of like sort of music.
Foreign origin.
I'm trying to like, because this movie's a lot about the history of music and the blues and black culture through music and how that's been affected by other cultures trying to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it shows, because this film's about like an Irish
folk musician.
folk musician vampire sort of like entranced by this
power that black
the power
musicians.
of that Sammy is able to convey about his like the ancestry of everyone in here,
right?
You know, and that sort of what would you describe that need that this vampire has, like
transcendental?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, because like
that
it's the power of what it see. But this is the thing.
Because I see that and I understand that on a lens, on a scale outside the frame of the film,
right?
Because I'm like, yes, like it reminds me. Someone made a good comparison piece between. What is the vampire's name in this movie? Jack O'Connell's character.
Remick or something?
Remick and Stephen Dorff in Get Out. People are writing a lot of comparison pieces between the two, and how they're
Stephen
like,
Dorff? Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah,
because the blind guy, and how they're trying to like sort of
Appropriate.
harness black culture
Yeah.
and black art, in this case it's black art, into like making it something that's for them,
For everybody.
for them, and and for everybody, and like, in Get Out's cases, I guess it's like the future,
Specifically
like,
for long-lasting life.
and being perceived as cool.
And in.
And I think, cool and in. And I think that's what Sinners deals with a lot. It's like, yes, the blues, like, it's such a powerful genre of music, and like it is shaped
by
like,
the history
the
of
history
black suffering.
like of black suffering, but also it is sort of like the baseline of just American music culture.
Mm-hmm.
Is the blues,
That was
and
like-
where does that
yeah.
come from? And Coogler is able to explain all of this in this one take sequence without a lick of dialogue. Well, I
Or
mean,
explanation.
without
for the
without
intro.
explicit explanation. He's the scene of the movie, I feel, is when Sammy's finally playing the blues at the juke joint.
Yeah.
And we are just taken through the ancestors, past and future, of everyone in this club as they're just being engulfed in this powerful music.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Coogler's able to understand, like, the fact that we're able to make music and art, and like how that has been able to come to fruition through our ancestors and just through history, because no art is like created just on its own without any context of the past. Right? And just to have that all explained in this masterful
One take.
one take sequence, the scene of the movie for me, like I said,
Goosebump inducing
Yeah.
every time I walk in, even though like I didn't even know the context of the scene.
Yeah.
When I walked in the first time to watch it, I didn't see it. Like, I didn't watch the screen, but I heard it.
right?
And you just feel that, like, they got the perfect voice for him.
Oh,
First of
yeah.
all. But like,
That guy, who is that kid?
he was a background singer for Rihanna, apparently.
Really?
And then he was like somehow got involved in like music on a movie or something like that, and then like met the right people and then cast him in this.
Dude, this is like a Rachel Zegler kind of pull.
Right.
Feels.
Like somebody out of obscurity, basically. Or
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I feel like they've been doing a good job of that lately. I remember before COVID, it was like, there's no like new stars anymore. But since then, it's like, it feels like people have just been popping up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And you're like,
It's
well,
been great.
new
And they're not
generation.
Nepo. Cool.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. A lot of them. There's a good few.
Yeah.
We'll talk about.
We'll talk about two of
Nepo.
them.
Yeah, we'll talk about two of them later. But anyways, just like that whole sequence, like Coogler's able to like just convey that, like, yeah, this stuff is powerful and meaningful, and like it makes you understand why this vampire is so like he craves it. He needs this.
It doesn't look upon him negatively. There's like one line of dialogue that's explains why he wants it. He wants to connect to his own ancestors like that or something like that.
And just thinking about like, I love sort of comparing vampirism to sort of, I guess, like white culture.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's been around forever.
Draining.
Like, it feels like we don't have any culture, but
we
like
steal culture.
and we steal it.
It's like filmmaking.
When's the last culture you stole?
Every day of my damn life.
Yeah, you dog. But yeah, that's just like, I don't know. It made sense to make that connection, but like, I love that Coogler was even able to have sort of this nuance that like, no, but there is like, he does have some like the Riverdance song that they were performing, which was also another great sequence,
Crazy. I said it in my review, but crazy that this movie is a 1930 set movie at the end of Prohibition. That's also like a gangster movie.
Yeah.
That's also like about the Jim Crow South, which is also a Western, which is also like
a vampire movie,
which is also a musical.
Yeah.
And because it is a musical, like, frankly, it's not a traditional musical. Like, there's no like traditional song and dance, but it is like, in essence, like a musical.
Yes,
There's like,
the narrative is dictated by, the narrative moves because of music.
yeah, exactly.
Because of Sammy's performance and everything. That's why this whole stuff happens.
And it starts with that because of his like love for the guitar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like how that relates to his choice by the end of the movie.
Right.
I really think there's so much to dissect. And that's like we could do like a whole episode on Sinners and like the power of its narrative and the power of its themes. There's just so much to gnaw on. I think it's got a little bit too much. I wish it would have focused more on certain things.
Yeah.
And I wish it would have been able to play more into the genre aspects so that it would have hit harder in the end.
Yeah.
But there are some great moments in that last third still that I think the scene, spoilers, with him taking out the racist members of the Klan that sell him the place to begin with, because the evil's not done with. It's not just vampires that are evil. Racism is not the only evil in society, as not even like
here's the real vampires.
Exactly. And there's so much to be said about that, and so much to be said about his journey, Smoke and Stack's respective journeys, as well as that really odd mid-credit scene. Like odd that they place it there, because that does feel like very much the end of the movie, thematically at least.
I will say, you were talking about the third act, and I will say that I think that's honestly where all my problems do lie with the film. Why I can't call it perfect.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Even though I love this film, it's been used as sort of a term. I do think it kind of has Return of the King syndrome,
where it's too many endings.
Too many endings. It had the ending, of course, with the vampires, and the ending with him taking out the KKK and dying, which is absolutely necessary. I feel like all these endings were necessary. We needed to see all these bows turn, and then of course
2 endings with Sammy.
2 endings with Sammy, but everyone's calling this a post-credit scene. I just think of it as
the end of the movie.
The end of the movie, and the credits are just playing during the ending. You know, it's not a. I don't know. It's not as how we traditionally see a post-credit scene as something that's teasing the future.
Or
I hate that people are analyzing this. Yeah, or making just a little gag. You know?
Yeah.
I hate how people are analyzing this. What does this mean for the future of the Sinners franchise?
I'm I don't think Coogler envisioned that.
No, especially because he made this deal with Warner Brothers.
Right.
Which is
amazing.
Amazing that we got talked that in 25 years he gets complete ownership over the film.
Which means he can do whatever the fuck he wants with it.
Yeah.
Or anything he wants to do with the franchise.
And it's
if he does decide to go down the road, which I don't think he will.
No.
I don't think there's any need to franchise this out or to make something out of it.
I don't think it would make any sense if it could. I mean,
but neither does a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel. Let's be honest, man.
I mean, I wouldn't mind hanging out with Cliff Booth doing whatever the hell he's doing. But I could reasonably see. I hate that I'm talking about sequel potential for this. You could tell stories of
vampirism.
No, of Stack and
Annie.
No, Annie was Smoke's
Little Mary.
Little Mary, that's her name.
Because I remember Cornbread's
Mary. Yeah.
Little Mary.
Yeah. You could tell a story about those two people at some point in time, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. That has nothing to do with what this movie is about.
Or saying.
Yeah. It's one and done, and I'm glad that he made this deal because that just it just shows that Coogler's he is one of the greats.
He's got to be.
He's one of the greats in the making.
Well, I think
who else can make these deals like him?
Who else
Nolan,
can? Yeah.
Spielberg,
Scorsese,
maybe Peele. I don't know.
Maybe,
just because I don't know.
Because usually you get one of these. You get one of these movies that you can do on your own.
I bet Greta Gerwig can get one now.
Yeah. But Astor got one and Chazelle got one, but they fumbled, and they're probably never going to get that opportunity.
Do they get complete ownership over those films?
Probably not, though.
See, that's the thing. I'm talking about these deals.
I'm talking. I'm talking about the big budget,
the blank check projects.
See, but Coogler played ball.
He did
because he knew how, and he
played the game.
He was passionate about those movies too.
Yeah,
he made them his own without compromising too much on his vision. They let him go full reign with Black Panther 2. When Chadwick died.
Absolutely, because they're
you could tell.
Because I think everyone was we don't know what to do. You do what you think is best.
Yeah.
And he did it. And it was a good movie, but it, not as great as Sinners.
No. He's but I don't think he's made not a great movie.
No.
I think every single one of his movies is like a
I
9
think
out of 10.
his
which
I
is
think
so
his worst
crazy.
movie is Black Panther 2, which is still a great movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That or Creed. But Creed is so inspiring.
I like
That
Creed.
movie
I
is-
like Creed and Black Panther. I think Creed is still my favorite Coogler movie, personally.
It's so good, though.
It's so good.
It's just he doesn't need to operate within a franchise if he doesn't want to now.
And he's proved it. He can do whatever the hell he wants now. And
Yeah.
that is like,
The dream.
oh, it's so exciting to see. Like, I feel like this is a once in a generation. I feel like we didn't really truly get to see this with Nolan because we were kids when this was happening, you know?
With the
And I
Batman
feel like
movies,
I
yeah.
feel like he grinded a lot more than Coogler. It took him a couple films to get, you know, he got Batman Begins, and then he got that. He sort of had the One for Me, One for You.
The Prestige or something.
So he did Prestige, Dark Knight, Inception, Rises, Interstellar, and now he's there.
And he doesn't
And I think that Coogler could just do
whatever
like,
he wants.
I know he's working on the X-Files.
Yeah,
I guess that's his next project, and Black Panther 3. But I think, like, dude,
after that, you're good.
you're set. Like, you can do whatever the hell you want, and
Especially
it's
with how successful this is.
And now, this makes me so happy that like now, audiences are getting behind filmmakers just by their name.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, we've seen that in the past with like obviously Oppenheimer and you know,
It used to be actors that
Barbie.
pulled people.
yeah,
Now
but
it's
now it's like
directors.
these are like true creative, like actually worthy directors, you know, that's getting this mass appeal and viewership.
Mm-hmm.
Did you turn off your mic?
No.
Okay, good. That scared the shit out of me when you looked at it. I was like, no. Just like someone that's fine, and it's like it's also a different voice too.
Yeah.
These are different kinds of movies than what we're seeing.
Fruitvale Station is not Sinners. Sinners
No.
is not Black Panther. Black
No.
Panther is not Creed.
But also those
They all have
movies,
Michael B. Jordan though.
those movies. That's true, but hey, he's great. But they're also nothing like Nolan's films. They're
No.
nothing like Scorsese's films. They're nothing like Spielberg's films. Like,
Yeah.
we
they don't
have
feel like
we
that.
have a new. I feel like we have a new all-time great
American voice.
American voice that's just different, and it's just gonna make the future so exciting. And what this is gonna open up to for more voices,
Right.
and more opportunities for people to just give us different stories,
From a business
different points of
aspect?
view, and different lives. Like
Yeah.
it drives me up the wall that people are so like, why do people not want different stories to tell? Like, why do people like everyone's so against like, oh, diversity and everything? It's like, oh, DI. It's like, don't you want like new stuff?
I don't think
Aren't you tired of the same like, I don't know, like, say what you will, like, you know, I don't know, like, these are just different.
they
you know?
crave comfort.
They
That's
crave-
the problem.
Yeah.
And
They crave comfort, and they crave just familiarity, like just similarities to just what they were, the filmmakers that they grew up with,
right.
you know? And I'm just like, why limit yourself when we have all these, like, I don't know, like Gerwig, Peele, Coogler, you know,
Astor.
Astor.
Eggers.
Yes, all these guys are doing all this different stuff, and thankfully, you know, Gerwig, Peele, and Coogler have now gone into like, now we can see like
Big budget.
big time budget and
Yeah.
big appeal movies. That's making it like that. These three filmmakers are like giving me hope that like, oh, we can sort of have sort of an age like the 80s or 70s where these, you know, personality directors were able to make these big original films that will be like enjoyed for generations.
If I may compare it to Endgame or not Endgame, video
Yeah.
games.
Video games.
Yes. The jump in quality.
Coogler's like the Mario.
No. It's like you can see the incremental jumps between generation shrinking.
Yeah.
So like people will talk about how the graphical changes of a video game from 10 years ago to now is way smaller, technically speaking.
Oh, yeah.
But than it was like years
Than it
ago.
was from between the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo 64.
Right,
That
because
was
it's
massive.
2D to 3D.
Yeah.
Like
Changed the
64-bit to like
to-
3D graphics, like roaming
Well,
around.
it was what was Nintendo's Super Nintendo was 16-bit.
Okay, 16
and then,
to 64.
and then
bit.
60. Yeah, it's a 64.
But still, that's a massive jump in video
Yeah,
game quality. And
absolutely.
the same can be said for film, I think, where
Yeah.
it's like, I don't think people are running out of ideas how to tell stories, new, unique stories. We see them every year.
Mm-hmm.
It's how do you use those tools to tell that story in a unique way? Because even in storytelling classes, when you're in film school or English class, even in high school, you're taught there's only like 7 or 8 different stories you can tell. And you can categorize these things. But the reason why we love stories as a species is because of how it makes us feel about the human experience and whether or not we laugh or cry or get scared.
Yeah.
All those things are wonderful in how we interpret life and art and stuff like that. And I think the reason why people got complacent is because of the jump to digital made it so easy to make movies.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, if we have access to this technology where we can film a scene in like 5 minutes as opposed to a half hour because of how long it takes to change out film.
Yeah.
Or if we have the ability to see every film and rewatch our favorites over and over again, what does that incentivize? It has incentivized people to continue to go back to what's easy and what's comfortable.
Whoa.
Versus something that is like exciting and new and fresh because it's hard.
Yeah.
And like nobody makes timeless things anymore. And I feel like Sinners, for all of its faults, which there are a few minor ones,
we'll get into them,
it is timeless. I think this movie will stand the test of time. I don't think everything will play better on rewatch. I don't think everything will play worse on rewatch either. Yeah. But I think it will stand the test of time. Yeah. And from the business aspect, I've seen like this movie. You've been to my theater.
Yeah.
There's like 90 to we dropped it from the CineXL.
Okay.
But it sold 250 per every showing in there.
Are you bringing it back to CineXL?
No. Because we just during summer it's like, what do you got?
Well, because isn't on May 15th they're bringing it back?
Only for the 70 millimeter IMAX.
Oh, okay. I thought it was all big formats.
Yeah, no. Okay. Because they don't want to take from Final Destination because they have a deal with who made Final Destination? Warner Brothers. Who made Sinners?
Oh,
Warner Brothers. So they're not trying to take away from their own business.
They don't want to,
because they're similar genres.
Yeah.
But 90 people per auditorium, basically. And it's week 3.
That's crazy.
Week 3. People. They're down to row A. Row A.
Wow.
And they're like watching the movie.
And they're doing it.
And they don't care. I've seen so many people like in these theaters and they're like enjoying the movie. And that is satisfying. Some come out of the movie and they're obviously watching it because their friend told them to watch it, or because it's the trend, or maybe because they thought it was going to be something else. But there are a lot of people who are coming out of it and going, wow.
Yeah.
You can tell by the looks on their face that they're like kind of surprised at what they just watched. Because it does feel so different, like you said.
Absolutely. And it's just like, wow. Like how...
Third week, and it's already...
Third week.
And it was on like a Monday. It was like spring break's over.
It's great that that this many people are seeing a film that I could just like... If I were to like comp like the horror aesthetics to this film, I'd comp it to like a John Carpenter film. Like we talked about The Thing, very like Prince of Darkness, The Thing,
late 90s Robert Rodriguez.
Like, I mean, yeah, Dusk Till Dawn
for sure.
But like the way, like I loved whenever the vampires are doing shit, they had like that hardcore like
guitar.
It was like like metal opera.
Yeah,
you know, it was like bam, bam, bam. Yeah, I was like, it feels like the Rocky Horror Picture Show in a way.
But also, it's,
you know, it was cool.
It's like, it is so like, I love the way this thing moves. Is what I said in my.
It was pulpy, and I'm just like, I'm surprised that a movie so pulpy is making like this much money, and it's all because of Coogler's name. Literally, like I feel like, I mean, that's what got people to go initially. Yeah, you know. Was Coogler's name and doing Black Panther.
People like Michael B. Jordan a lot more than also like he's a name.
He's becoming like a Pacino kind of guy, you know, where it's like he's made this relationship with Coogler, and people are just like, well, now see him in anything. Yeah, you know, exactly. It's great. Yeah, it boggles my mind that this campy horror film with all this like layered textual.
Slow first third, developing its
very slow. Yeah, it's a complex film thematically.
It's a modern western, like.
And people are they're loving it because they're just giving it a chance, And I feel like we saw the same thing with Oppenheimer. You know, the same thing with Barbie. It's just like, if people give these great films a chance, then they'll be hits. The people crave for this sort of stuff, you know, but they're just too afraid to take that risk, as you said, because they want familiarity.
Yeah.
You know?
Their dollar goes a long way, especially nowadays. I think the film industry, in spite of whatever recession we might be getting into, will continue on because people have always gone to the movies in times of hardship.
Yeah.
Even though like streaming is going to be super easy, the only time in human history that people stopped going to the movies is when they closed because of COVID.
Yeah.
And then they started going to the drive-ins or having like watch parties on their computers, which is still that communal aspect. And that's the reason why this summer is sort of starting to give me hope, because we've had 2 good films to start the summer.
2 good films, 2 very good films. Should we get to the next film?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, before that, let's give our Blu-ray rating for Sinners. I'm going to give it a high 4 out of 5. Like, it's a high 4 out of 5. I can't make it to 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I feel like just it feels a bit choppy at the end. I get what Coogler did have to wrap up all those bows. You know, he had to tie all those bows. But, like, it felt a little choppy to me, you know? And I feel like that's really the only thing, but it was like, it does feel like he kind of fumbles the landing for me, which is a bummer, but I still really like the film.
Mm-hmm. I would give it a 4.5, but it's a middling 4.5. There's not been an emphatic endorsement of like a 4.5 or a 5-star movie that I could give this year. Like Mickey 17, I also have issues with, but I still really like it.
Solid 4 for me.
Yeah, like that one's like the closest thing, but it's not even like there.
Yeah.
Because there's not a movie this year that's made me feel like
it has like
bowled
nothing that's
me
really
over.
blown me away.
Right. And like even in the parts that did blow me away, I do feel like there's a lot of repetitiveness. It doesn't go far in certain places. Like I know why they didn't have like too much gore for the like killing of like the friends of the people, you know?
Yeah,
like,
you just see them go.
Yeah, it's just like okay,
like, imagine,
but it's not satisfying.
I feel like they were
satisfying.
trying to probably do like a Shaun of the Dead sort of scene with Delroy Lindo's character.
Yeah, but it didn't work.
But you don't see it.
Yeah, they just
is it rated R?
Yeah, it's rated R. It's hard R.
Then why hesitate, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot that
I
is
will say
missing.
the gore was like
underwhelming.
That could have I feel
it's
like
a
that
vampire movie.
Yeah, but that could have made the spectacle a bit better.
Right, and I'm not saying like make a spectacle out of all these people dying,
right?
But give these people a fair shot to survive and have a chance they were done with to begin with, and maybe that's the problem.
I do agree that the time away from them learning that vampires exist to them opening the doors and fighting the vampires
so short
should have been a lot longer.
Yeah, and if that happened, give that more character development with them inside, and maybe a little bit of a better like fighting chance out, like to survive on the outside.
Literally, because they just open the doors and then like
over.
All of them but Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
And Sammy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like damn.
Okay.
I mean, that's life, I guess.
Yeah, I know. And so like as such, I don't think it fumbles the ending, but I do think it fumbles that switch from second to third act because it just feels way too quick, and I feel like the characters deserved a little bit better considering they had an hour built up. But still, 4.5. I can't commend this filmmaker enough.
It's my favorite film of the year so far.
Second, I like Mickey 17 more.
Yeah, I was going back and forth when I first watched it, but as I sat with it after the second watch, I was like, this one, like, I don't know. It's been sticking with me a lot more than Mickey 17.
That is something. But also, Mickey 17 wasn't as successful. So maybe if that movie stayed in theaters and got a little bit more play.
Maybe if that movie was not released in March. The first week of March.
Well, you know, what movie also was... No, just kidding. Minecraft got it.
It was also a Warner Brothers movie.
Minecraft,
Warner Brothers
Sinners, Mickey 17. What are they doing? Deleting projects and then like giving like
what the hell?
They're gonna have a crazy year.
They are.
Disney is gonna be having a tough time. Well, they're not because Disney's got Avatar and Lilo and Stitch, but those movies.
You're not including Fantastic Four in that?
We'll see.
We'll see. Honestly, yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
But then, I mean, Warner's got Superman,
Final Destination.
Those
movies sell.
Yeah, they're gonna be good.
Yeah,
which is a bummer because like
they're gonna
do some shitty stuff, and now it's gonna like rewarding their shitty behavior.
I'm not rewarding their shitty behavior. I'm supporting their good behavior.
Very good, positive reinforcement. You'd be a really good dog trainer. You know, that's how you train a dog. I'm already sitting. So you're a good dog trainer. That's great. He's great. He's the best in biz. All right. Let's move to this movie right here with all these influences and histories, except for
Intertwined
this one.
histories.
Intertwined. Thunderbolts, the latest MCU film,
Or should we say spoilers?
Spoilers. Yeah, it's been a week, and they've already spoiled.
Yeah, they spoiled it. But
Did you get spoiled by that before you saw the movie?
I did, but also
You knew.
I kind of knew.
Yeah.
Because it was like
That's a
but
bummer.
also I didn't know. So there's I knew things, but I didn't know things.
Yeah.
Which is
Anyways,
nice.
they're now calling it the New Avengers.
I think what they're gonna do is gonna have like a slipcover for the Blu-ray where it's like
It's like New Avengers,
or
like you
it's a
can tear it.
reversible cover or
Yeah.
something like that. Oh, you rip your Blu-ray.
Oh, it says New Avengers now. Yeah, Thunderbolts asterisk.
New Avengers.
New
asterisk.
Avengers or asterisk New Avengers.
We'll see.
Whatever you prefer. I'm gonna call it Thunderbolts because that's
We have enough Avengers movies.
Yeah, and like
This doesn't feel like an Avengers
personally, no,
movie.
it doesn't feel like an Avengers movie. Yeah, Thunderbolts. I was not looking forward. I mean, I wasn't not looking forward to this movie, but I wasn't also looking forward to it. You know what I mean? It was just like
yeah.
a movie that was there with all these characters from Disney Plus shows.
And forgettable
And
sequels from.
Yeah, well, not Ant-Man and the Wasp. I love. Jesus,
But I
hiccuping.
think it's
Sorry, wine.
forgettable.
Yeah, but most forgettable by the populace,
Yes.
I'll say. But if you think about it, that's sort of what the movie is about. It's about all these people who are like losers and forgotten, and don't really pay attention to.
Typical lovable losers story.
Lovable losers. Marvel loves their lovable losers.
Yep. Eternals. Oh wait.
Eternals, they were just losers. Sorry, no sequel for you. Wah, wah. Yeah. I don't know. I wasn't going into this with any real big
I
expectations.
hated the way they marketed this.
I didn't think the trailers were all that great. I was like, okay, why am I gonna waste my time with these Disney Plus characters?
They also have like
doing this thing.
the posters. Like the
Posters, I think, are the worst they've ever been.
Well, they did do the cool alternate posters, but they never released them physically.
What?
So I think the Wheaties poster is fine.
No, it's awful. That's the worst poster I've ever seen. It's just them standing in an orange background. Are you kidding me?
No, I just think because it's a Wheaties box, that's the only reason. But then the other poster with it being an asterisk,
Yeah.
that's kind of like Knights of the Round Table-esque, like fine.
Yeah.
Okay, but the other posters, meme fonts, impact.
They're using impact font for this, and I was just like, oh.
And it's like, did you run out of like
Yeah.
graphic designers and you got to use AI for everything all of a sudden? Because
Yeah.
honestly, they might have.
They might have.
They might have used like AI for like the poster design or maybe like their end credits. I don't know. I hope.
Oh.
Not. I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not. Because, yeah, that did seem a bit,
Like weird.
yeah,
Like-
whatever.
But
But yeah, Thunderbolts. Directed by the guy who made Beef, Jack Schreier. Is that his name?
yeah,
Jack Schreier?
they were also trying to
Jake?
market it.
Jake or Jack?
Jake.
Jake?
Yeah.
Jake Schreier. And yeah, they were trying to market it as like
This is an
the
A24.
A24 Marvel movie.
What?
And I was like, okay, just seems like you guys. This has still been running, right? It's
Yeah.
not turned off.
Yeah, it hasn't turned off once.
Okay.
Not once.
Not once. Not once. Yeah, our memory card got full while I was saying stuff, so we're just gonna drop back in here. I think I was talking about how they were trying to make this movie look like an A24 film,
Yeah.
and like, for the most part, it's not.
it's not.
It's a Marvel movie.
It's not.
But as I was saying, the character work that they do in this film is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Florence Pugh is great.
I think I have not I don't think I've been so invested in a character just by. This sounds weird. I get invested. I used to be invested by MCU characters just because they were the character.
Because you're invested with the comic book
Right.
character.
So Ant-Man, Star-Lord, like those guys were my guys because I
Yeah.
knew them from the comics growing up. But like I don't know anything much about Yelena Belova.
A lot of these
I just
characters
knew
are minor
Very minor.
or
yeah.
modern.
Like
With the exception of John Walker. He's the only one that... And Bucky, obviously.
Bucky. I feel like Bucky is the only guy on this team that's like, okay,
Fleshed out.
we've known this guy.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't watch the Disney Plus shows, you don't know who the fuck John Walker is.
Unless you read the comics.
Unless you're, yeah, but
Me. Hello,
little comic reader. You would know these guys are. So I was so happy to see that I feel like all these characters got a good amount of character development.
Most of them.
Yeah, maybe not Ghost.
Yeah. Ghost
Which is a bummer, because, like, I'm a fan of Ghost.
I feel like she got her character development in the...
in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, everyone was always saying, like, oh, I'm so sad we couldn't see what their lives were like in the void.
I'm like, you already did.
You've already seen it. Just watch the other movies. Maybe not Red Guardian, but, like, just watch any movie with Winter Soldier. You know his trauma.
Yeah.
You know Ghost trauma if you watched Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Right.
It was great to just sit down with... Yelena, a character we did know, but we got to explore a lot more of as this really complex character who is like
grappling with suicidal thoughts,
with just thoughts of like struggling with self-worth.
Yeah.
And it was great to see that even this person who's just so capable of it as an ex-Black Widow.
Yeah.
Is still struggling. Like, what is my purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it
gets boring.
Yeah. It gets boring. Even if you're the best assassin in the world. Life can still feel meaningless, which was like, did that open your eyes? Like, because you always wish you were the best assassin in the world, right? Yeah. Ah! Yeah. See, he's good at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great to see all these characters feel like actual human beings. I think
there's always a risk that side characters.
Yeah.
Really it's hard to anchor a film with them, and I think they nailed it.
Absolutely.
And I think there are some growing pains with that, especially if you're not as invested in the late, because I feel like the early MCU really benefited because people loved rewatching those movies, but I feel like with Phase 4 and beyond, nobody's rewatching these things. We talked about it in the Minecraft episode.
Yeah.
But there's not that investment built up over time, even though there's been years since their last projects.
Right.
And it feels like I should be more invested in them, but I'm not.
Yeah.
And like you said before the memory card crapped out.
Yeah.
It lacked an oomph for you.
Yeah.
And Evelyn and I were talking about it in the car. She loved the movie. It's her favorite MCU movie, by the way. And she was like, "Oh, like this is like so unlike all the other MCU movies." And I'm like, "Yeah, I wonder why that is. Like it's not the creative team behind it."
It's okay. Just there's a plane crashing a few blocks down. We're by an airport. They crash all the time.
Okay.
Keep talking.
I was like, okay. And that scared the shit out of me.
It's fine.
With all the
like
planes crashing.
lots are dead, but that happens like every week here. So we're good. Keep talking.
It just threw me off.
What can you do? Literally, are you gonna go there and help them?
No,
they're all dead. It's fine.
I
Keep
did
talking.
Hear a crash the other day outside my apartment. It scared the shit.
A plane crash?
No, it was a car crash.
Okay, I don't care then. Where did they crash? I don't care. Let's talk about Thunderbolts.
Where was I going with that? Can you refresh my memory?
No. You were talking about, okay, this is Evelyn's favorite MCU movie now. And like, what's different? What's so different about it?
What happened before that?
What happened before?
No, what happened? What did I say before that? No, I said
that was literally it. Then the plane crashed. Yeah. So why is this different than any other MCU movie? Don't mention plane crashes. Go. Go.
No, I know.
I'm literally asking you a question. You can just take off from there.
I know.
What about Thunderbolts makes this movie like?
That's not where I was going.
Okay, but maybe here I'll address it. Like, for me, this movie was missing this a little extra oomph.
That's right.
There we go.
That's it.
Back on track. I got you.
And we were talking about. It was missing something for me when the Thunderbolts, the new Avengers, are dragging Lewis Pullman's character away from the Void.
Bob.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Bob.
There you go.
They like saying Bob a lot in this movie.
Yeah, when they were dragging him away from the Void, you should feel like, oh, it's like a warm hug, like a group hug.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. And you know why?
Why?
Because they never developed the relationship well enough between Bob and all the other people with the exception of Yelena.
Yeah.
Like, Bucky doesn't know this guy. He
No.
just wants to pull him off him because he thinks it's not right.
Yeah.
Alexei probably trusts Yelena, but why is he doing it?
Right.
The other two,
Sure, they know Bob,
They
but
know
like,
him, but like what they don't really, especially John Walker doesn't really care for the guy too
Yeah.
much. Maybe empathizes or sympathizes a little bit.
but maybe they've grown to like him, but like you never really see that.
Yeah,
right?
you never see that. And because you never really see that, and you just see their asses get kicked by him like 5 minutes earlier,
Yeah,
or not 5, 20 maybe.
maybe.
Yeah, then it's like, okay, I'm not buying into that relationship necessarily, except
Yeah.
between Yelena and he. Because it's really well done. And
It is.
I will say, much like with Sinners, spends a lot of time with these characters just chilling out.
And that's
like,
great.
character
It felt
building.
so refreshing.
Like, the dramatic writing in this is some of the best the MCU's had ever since
Yeah.
the Guardians movies, like you said. I think some of the comedy is a little hard to gauge for me.
It felt real to me.
It did feel
Like, remember when they were talking about Dr. Phil?
Yeah, that was weird.
I liked that. I
That
was
was
like,
just strange.
to me, I was like, oh yeah, these feel like normal people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because they were
guess.
just like talking. Because I feel like that's how I'd talk about Dr. Phil with like my coworkers. They're like, oh yeah, that show
Are your coworkers of the Thunderbolts?
no, but like if someone mentioned Dr. Phil and like someone was like, oh yeah, the show's still on, but it's not on anymore,
Yeah.
or like whatever they were talking about. I'm like
Yeah.
that it felt real, and I liked that. There is a lot of MCU isms in sort of the dialogue here, but come in here, get in here, Justin. Justin's here.
room.
He's back from the gym. He's like 2 times bigger. He's so muscular. Wow.
He's being silent.
But where was I going?
They're MCU.
There's a few MCUisms, but I feel like some of the writing it felt a lot more natural.
Yeah.
Which it was like at first it was a little weird
Yeah.
to me because I'm like, oh wait, this feels like normal people,
They don't
which
feel like
is
they're
like
characters from their
yes,
specific things.
which felt for me as like someone who my favorite thing about like Marvel Comics as a whole is that like to me it always felt like these superheroes were people first, heroes second.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm such a big fan of the X-Men.
Right.
Because I don't see the X-Men as superheroes. I see them as just people.
Because they're existing as people and they're just...
And their problems are personal.
Yeah.
All like no matter what, the X-Men problems, whatever like thing they're facing, their roots always come from a very personal and melodramatic root.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'd love because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it feels like people dealing with people problems, but then just allegorized to a superhero scale,
Mm-hmm.
and that's sort of, I could see the potentiality in that in Thunderbolts.
Right.
I didn't see it as clear as if I read, The Dark Phoenix or if I watched X-Men 97,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is one of the best things Marvel Studios has ever put out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I still see that like, I don't know, they're still trying to balance sort of like the politics of the MCU world, trying to play off Captain America: Brave New World and everything like
Which
that.
is a dud to begin with.
Yeah,
Because that movie does nothing.
No,
It tries to set up this really interesting conflict between the U.S. and the rest of the countries and how they handle this new resource.
and like what changes at the end?
Nothing.
Nothing changes. It's just
All it is
Red Hulk is now not the president anymore. That's it.
And also he exists.
Yeah.
Because this was like a plot. And you could get behind a villain who has a sympathetic motivation like
Right.
that. But it almost like loses its luster because there's no exploration deeper into the politics. And Thunderbolts somewhat has that same problem.
It doesn't feel like there's like a villain, which is cool.
Which is nice.
There's not a villain to beat.
Because Val has something.
She's an antagonist.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But like they don't beat her at the end.
Sentry is not.
If anything, they sort of lose.
Yeah.
Because now they're like, oh, we're the new Avengers now, but we have to answer to her.
But she's like,
Even though they say that like
we own you now.
we own you, I still don't believe that because it's still
She
it's still
bankrolls the whole project.
yeah, it's bankrolled by the government. Like,
But
you don't shit if you're owned by your government pays for you.
the
Sorry.
way I explained it is, it feels like it was an abrupt conclusion because they were like doing dramatic improv throughout the last third of this movie.
Yeah.
They were like, okay, what can we do? Because they can obviously not beat this guy. The Sentry's
They
Void.
can't physically beat
They
him.
can't beat the Void, and they can't beat Sentry. So they can't beat either version of him.
Yeah.
So how do they put the genie back into the bottle?
Right.
Because it would be way too easy. because he's the MCU Superman. You know, that's what everybody's comparison.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to find a way to make him like back into this like sympathizable character from the beginning of the film, but also give there a conclusion to the political storyline, which kind of is forgotten about.
It is
halfway into the movie,
and I feel like that was one thing that I felt like kept disrupting the film. I was
Right.
like, oh yeah, like we have to now going back to
Congress.
the Congress and everything, and they're still pulling up packets on whatever on
They
DeFontaine or whatever.
They couldn't find something interesting to make it like sort of an espionage, sort of like, because I thought it was going to be like, oh, Bucky's going to try to get them as witnesses, which he was.
Yeah.
And there's something that could be done interesting with that, and then it goes awry, but instead, like, it doesn't go that way.
Yeah.
It chooses to do a very interesting climax nonetheless.
Yeah.
With, like, exploring the inner trauma boxes, like people are saying, of these characters.
It just didn't feel like it fit perfectly together.
No.
It was nice. It was good, but it didn't seamlessly flow.
Yeah.
You know? Which is fine because like shit, we could be complaining about a lot of other stuff that this film was totally fine with, that a lot of other MCU movies have completely fumbled with in the past.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the visual effects were good.
They're fine.
The story was competently written.
Yeah.
You know, there was a nice flow. There was a flow to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Low bar, maybe, but
Low bar. It actually gave these relatively newer characters some serious good development, which I feel like we haven't seen outside of a Disney Plus show since Shang-Chi, probably.
yeah, I mean,
Like, I'm
not
new
Guardians
characters.
3.
I'm talking
Oh,
new characters.
okay.
Like, I mean, if someone who has never seen these Disney Plus shows, the only character they'd know is Bucky and Yelena, and they're not going to remember Ghost from Ant-Man. Like,
No.
or Red Guard, like they'll remember as side characters, but John Walker and everything, like, you know, it feels like new, fresh characters to them because they were just supports in the last films, you know. So it was really refreshing to see that because I feel like we haven't really gotten this much good, intense character development since Phase 1.
No, I agree.
You know, since we established the first Avengers.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's good leading forward because the post-credit scene of the film,
Yes,
like, though it feels tonally a little bit different,
because it was directed by other people. Yeah.
It gave me the same feeling that a lot of these post-credit scenes has sort of lacked.
Yeah, of like, oh, I'm kind of excited to see
Where this goes.
where this goes. You know, I'm still not 100% like
sold
on Doomsday.
Yeah.
But at least I kind of I still don't feel like I have a true understanding of what that movie's gonna be.
Neither do I.
But not in like an exciting way. You know what I mean? Like in Endgame, we were like, we don't know what this movie's gonna be, but that was an exciting way.
Right, yeah.
You know, but here it's just like it could be shit. You know, for Endgame, we were like, what could it like?
But it's gonna be good.
We
right?
know it's gonna be good. But this, we're like, they
be
could
shitty.
totally fumble all this. We don't know.
I was saying, like, there are so many things in the development of this phase of the universe.
Yeah.
Jonathan Majors, Chadwick Boseman dying,
Yeah.
the VFX rat fucking going on where it's like they're like pixel fucking them, like, oh, we don't know what's going on. The shortening of production on shows, getting rid of shows that were in development and movies that were in development that were supposed to have a big like place in things. Reshuffling the directors constantly, Blade like disappearing,
Right.
the Fox deal, you know, all this stuff has happened, and it's like the self-contained nature is they had the plan.
Uh-huh.
The plan of the first one miraculously stayed mostly together,
Right.
and then the second part of the plan is like gone. Nothing could have gone worse. Aside from like mass casualties of all your actors.
Yeah, exactly.
Or mass cancellations.
Yeah.
So like I think it would be a miracle if they pulled it off, but I am excited.
Yeah.
And I think this movie gets you excited because you know the characters.
Yeah, because we know these people now, and I'm like, oh, cool. We have these new fully fleshed out characters. How are they going to interact with
the Avengers?
The old Avengers,
or
I
the
guess.
new Avengers? Like, who's on that team?
No, but I'm literally talking about the old Avengers. Like,
oh,
you know, because like I feel like the only other characters in Doomsday that we have like got any attachment to is like Thor and Ant-Man and like, you know, all the older people.
Maybe Elena now.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Now we have the Thunderbolts who have like now these like truly developed guys who are now the new Avengers. We can have like sort of these fleshed out characters now interact with each other, and to me that helps me be a bit more faithful in what this project's going to be moving forward, because now like at least we'll have some actual people to interact, you know, to cross over. Now the crossover is going to be a lot more it's going to be a lot more exciting because it's not a crossover of just titles of characters. It's now a crossover personalities, which I feel like is what made the first Avengers films work so well. You know, they set up these personalities, and then the Avengers films, they smashed them together and saw how they they support each other, but also sort of like played against each other.
Because you didn't really see that crossover material in their individual solo installments, because like they rarely did.
Yeah.
If like Black Widow showed up in Iron Man 2, that didn't really present itself with a lot of conflict on the surface, but there is a lot more if you watch the Avengers movie.
Exactly.
And I mean, they're just going to have so many more to do it with.
Right.
And I think there's going to be a challenge in that, especially because of people's detachment from the overall MCU.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm pleased with the direction.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think a lot's riding on Fantastic Four now. Like, I think that movie's going to be like, if it's a hit, then I'll be a lot more like comfortable with what Doomsday and Secret Wars are going to be. But if it's just like another middle of the road, then I'm like, it's over, guys.
Who's on that Avengers team? Because you've got the new Avengers, which are the Thunderbolts. Right?
Thunderbolts. And so you got the Thunderbolts, the Fantastic Four, the Fox X-Men.
So those are already pre-established.
And then I'm assuming Captain America's new team is going to be him, Ant-Man. Thor, Ant-Man, Shang-Chi. Who else was announced? Black Panther, Shuri.
Yeah.
His Falcon. I forgot the name of the guy.
Joaquin Torres.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. That's it.
I guess so. I mean, that's who's been announced so far.
But that team is like the least enticing, which they're probably going to be the main
focus. So I hope that Doomsday is like, oh, it's tough because it's like you need this film to be a film that is able to both build up this new team of Avengers, you know, but also be a film about Doctor Doom. Robert Downey Jr. And I feel like it's more going to be a film about Robert Downey Jr. and we're just going to get all these Marvel characters where we're just like, okay, we don't really care about these guys because we don't know them all that well together. Like the reason why Infinity War worked so well, because it was a bunch of guys. It was a shitload of characters in Infinity War. And it was like they were all mix and match, but like we had all these movies and all this other development of them already interacting with most of these characters outside of the Guardians of the Galaxy that we understood.
Somebody's so hyped for John Walker to interact with Thor.
Oh, what is he gonna say?
What is Shang-Chi?
One's a deadbeat dad, the other's a new dad. It's gonna be so cool.
I'm so excited to see Shang-Chi interact with Magneto.
Oh, Ian McKellen and fucking
Simu Liu.
What's gonna happen?
Yeah, but no, that's like, but. You know, it was super exciting to be like, oh, how are the Guardians going to interact with the original Avengers?
Because they already had 2 movies of crazy good character development, and the Avengers already had countless other movies of good character development.
Right.
Cutting that out, obviously. But yeah, we'll see about Doomsday. Yeah. I don't know. But Thunderbolts, I thought Thunderbolts was great.
Enjoyable.
Great, not amazing. I would give it a low 4 out of 5. Not a high 4 out of 5 like I gave Sinners, but it's like a low one. It's like, great. We're kind of, I think I can see we might be back on track. I don't know.
I would say this is like
But I had a good time.
This is like a middle to high 3.5 because that third act really won me over, even in spite of its like unbalanced tone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think though it's abrupt, I do care for these characters. I want to see more of them. That is like one of the greatest compliments I can give one of these movies. Because after Captain America Brave New World, the Marvels, Deadpool and Wolverine, what's the other?
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I'm I'm not interested in seeing any of these people.
Yeah.
Because they're all forgettable, you know? And the Thunderbolts, I'm like, oh, I'm interested in seeing how Alexei interacts with the rest of the world. And I hated his character. He was like the weakest part of Black Widow for me.
Yeah.
Honestly. And he's like really great in this.
Yeah.
I was like, to go from working man to this.
That's right. He wasn't working.
He was so like low key in that movie, and
I'm so chill.
I hate screaming characters in movies, but he is so entertaining in Thunderbolts.
Yeah, it was good.
It plays so well off of like Yelena and John Walker and Ghost.
I think it played so well because he was the only guy that was like that.
He was like, there and wanting to do the job.
Yeah.
He
was the only guy who wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was good.
Yeah, but there's so much good to be said about this movie. And though I have some problems with the way the comedy's written, I would still give it a 7 out of 10 or like a 3.5 out of 5. It's a very enjoyable time. Not as forgettable as the rest of the MCU affair lately.
No.
Only like Guardians and Doctor Strange 2.
Are we just talking movies?
Yeah, are like memorable in my mind. Because Loki would be up there too.
Yeah, I would say because Loki's still
good.
I would say like the one I would compare this the most to is like I feel like what Thunderbolts did for Yelena, like the Loki show did for Loki. Because these two characters, they've been around, and I didn't really care about them. But once they were in these projects, they're now like one of my favorites.
Yeah, Loki is
because they feel like fully fleshed out people now. Right?
Loki is like my favorite character after Captain America after his show.
Yeah,
which is like I did not give a shit.
And I think Yelena is now one of my favorite characters just after this one movie. Yeah. Because it just like I got what she was going through. Like the way they were able to communicate her problems. I feel like every character in this MCU's got problems, but the way they're able to convey her problems and like how she's dealing with them, it just felt so real.
The problems felt squeaky clean in phases 1 through 3.
Yeah.
Like stuff that was like movie made.
Nobody wanted to kill themselves in phase 1 through 3.
That we know of. Well, Hulk did.
He actually did try, but it was played off as a joke and Whedonisms.
He shot it off.
Yeah.
But,
whatever.
These at least I mean they are setting up things like, and I we'll see what happens. I don't think they're gonna capture lightning in a bottle twice, but no. If my expectations are low, maybe it'll surprise me.
They're gonna have to do it 3 times.
With Secret Wars?
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see.
All right. Well, that'll do us for these 2 movie reviews.
Yeah. Elongated, of course.
Right.
But they're wrapped into something.
It was good. And I got to spend some time with my buddy Brandon. We got to talk about movies, just the 2 of us. And I hope you all enjoyed. Let us know what you thought about these movies in the comments below. And if you like what you saw, please watch all of our other videos and please.